Welcome. Welcome to the Creative Marketing Show. It's great to have you here. It's Monday, noon Eastern Standard Time, and this is where I connect with you every week live, an opportunity for me to record my podcast as well as answer your questions. And you can come in anytime you wish. And this week we're talking about LinkedIn with, was it 546 million subscribers on LinkedIn? But it's a very specific group of people, which we'll talk about in a moment. But the point is, it is important if you want to grow a business. This is a marketing strategies channel, and the job that we have here is to find the right combination of marketing tactics and strategies to help you grow your business. That's it. That's the mission here. And I have videos, hundreds of videos related to that. Some start with statistics to tell you what I'm going to do. Some are more in depth, some are how-tos, but it's all around the idea that it's not just one thing that's going to get you where you need to go. It's going to be a combination of things. And so this week we're talking LinkedIn as the core. Of course, I have questions, and those people who pop in and ask questions, you are more than welcome to share your thoughts. And we will dive deep into your business if you wish, or again, if you have a specific problem that you are running against, I'm always happy to connect and share. So LinkedIn, what am I doing about LinkedIn? It's been a big topic because they have done so much. I think, especially since Microsoft bought LinkedIn a year and a half, 2 years ago, and you can do a lot more. They keep making it just even more functional and easier. There are new things that you should be doing, but before you start playing with the new stuff, it's time to review the old stuff. In other words, how often have you checked? Have you checked your biography? Is there anything that's changed in your biography on LinkedIn? I mean, remember, for a long time, we looked at LinkedIn. Well, that's the place where we put our resume. Maybe we connect with other business people. Of course, that's something I've talked about all along, is such a great place to connect with other business people. And I've met a number of people. I was actually at a networking event recently where people were they got there because of their connections on LinkedIn. I think that LinkedIn will continue to grow and be a big part of the business community and continue to get stronger because that is the niche. People in business and who want to do business. And yes, some people who want to sell you stuff, but that's true in any business world. But people are only trying to sell you stuff that they think you could use, their target market. No one likes to be sold to, but we also have at the same time a lot of resources that we have connections to, and we know what people do. You go on Facebook, you go on Instagram or Twitter, you don't always know what people do for a living or how they can serve you unless they're there. Obviously, it's a business and they're trying to sell you something, or they have a specific niche within that world. But, there's a bigger, wide variety of services, obviously, on LinkedIn. I mean, the executives, the middle management, the salespeople, and the people who do the work at different levels are there to connect with. And so that is really powerful, I think, when it comes to building a network of people. Sometimes you can get into another company by building relationships with people that and they can refer you to the right people. They know the inside. You're not necessarily trying to sell to them. You're doing what LinkedIn is really good for, and that is networking. But if you want to network, you need to make sure your information is up to date and take advantage of the new opportunities. Video has been a big part of the next evolution of LinkedIn. And as you know, we can upload our videos, and I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do in a few moments related to that and what I am doing, what I have done, but I have a new plan that I'm beginning to implement, and I'm going to get into a little bit of detail about that. But you can put videos in your biography, and that's something worthy of considering. I mean, if you can have even photos and videos, but I would recommend really introducing yourself with a video in LinkedIn, in the biography. That, believe me, if you want people to know who you are And to have that connection with you, you're gonna have a little bit of advantage, because not only did if they've gone as far as wanting to know more about you and reading your biography in all the about sections anywhere, quite honestly, on the internet, having a video where you can put a video gives you an advantage that other people certainly are not taking advantage of. So when it comes to my moving forward with LinkedIn, I've been doing a lot of experiments with video. As you know, we've talked about that on this show. But I'm starting to dive deep. I started to create shorter videos here on YouTube, and they've gone over pretty well. I see some signs. We're in the middle of July, and this is the roughest time of year, quite honestly, one of the roughest times of the year related to YouTube, and in any social, even LinkedIn is a little slower these days. But I think I'm getting some good feedback. There's a lot of, I mean, people are watching them and commenting on these videos, and so I'm going to do the same thing on LinkedIn, but kind of brand it around LinkedIn, meaning making it look like these are, and they are for LinkedIn. So I make sure I upload all of them natively. Now, I had done some hellos through the past, like in other words, taking the smartphone and just, recording and then uploading it to LinkedIn. And a lot of times it was referring to my YouTube videos. I would share the topic of that YouTube video, which is a good way to go in to help promote the YouTube videos. But I want to be LinkedIn specific and really dial it in there. And so I really do believe that if you're going to talk about social media and you're on Twitter, 80% of the time you probably need to talk about Twitter. And if you're going to talk about social media on YouTube, YouTube is talking about YouTube specifically is probably the best thing to do. And the same thing with LinkedIn. If you're going to be spending a lot of time sharing information, LinkedIn should be certainly a core part of what you're going to talk about. So I think that's one big change that I'm adding to this. One, kind of branding. In other words, when I say branding, I'm also putting the LinkedIn, say, logo in there in these 1 minute, maybe 1.5 minute videos. Sometimes they're 30 seconds. Just sharing an interesting fact and doing a lot more of them on LinkedIn for LinkedIn people and connecting, developing myself as an expert in that area. Now, what can you do? No matter what you do, you want to develop yourself as that expert. And so think about the types of videos that people would be interested in short chunks. And I think it's even more important on LinkedIn than, say, YouTube, doing the short videos, because I don't think people are on LinkedIn to watch long videos. And a lot of these people are what? Business people, right? And so these business people generally do not have time. You may not have time to watch long videos. So a minute, half minute, minute and a half should be good. And answer the questions that people commonly ask you about your business and become that expert in your field. And if you're a photographer, a writer, a plumber, a designer, interior designer, whatever it may be, what are the questions that people ask you on a regular basis? Now, if you don't know where to start, go to the blogs. Start looking in the blogs. Or, of course, we often like to refer to Answer the Public and put maybe a topic in Answer the Public and have it show you what people are searching for in Google. And if you combine that with Keywords Everywhere, it'll actually show you how popular that is, that search is. And so if you're not finding anybody answering those questions on video, if you're not finding anybody answering these questions in blog posts, whatever it may be, create the content that is needed to fill in those gaps. And if there's only a few people are answering the questions, well, let's say there are only 2 people answering the question. Well, usually the top 5 are the best places to be. So even the top 3, if you can be number 3 to start off with because you're answering that question, let it be, because people will often view 1 or 2 videos, and especially if they're short. So that's what I would recommend you do. But don't forget about the opportunities to write. And like in Pulse, using Pulse, that's the kind of the blog platform that you can write long form content on. And I have had great luck getting a lot of views with that. But think it through. Think how you can use that to help boost your reach within LinkedIn. there are many different areas in LinkedIn worthy of paying attention to, and everybody has the area, different sections, where it's, their ability to recruit people, different types of connections. So I want to know, what are some of the tools that you use on LinkedIn? Because we're not going to go through all of them here today. So I want to see in the comments, what are some of those tools that you use that you find very helpful? Now, some of you have a pro account. I do not. I do not have a pro account. I've resisted all this time, and maybe I'll give in. But this is something that I have been pondering lately, and that you get a lot more functionality. It allows you to really search for. This is actually what it does. One of the things that it does is one of the original things that it did that they put under the paid umbrella. When we first started with LinkedIn, you were able to type in a name or a company, and it would easily show you everyone. And that's been limited a lot, if not all the way put underneath the paywall. But that's something you can do, and it's become very, very helpful. And I think LinkedIn in the future really does want to become your customer management system. They really want you to continue to use LinkedIn as your sales, marketing, networking platform. So there's going to continue to be new tools that are launched in rumors that I've heard, within the next year or two, that even more than sooner than that, quite honestly. That could be very helpful. They want to keep business people on board, and there's some folks that are very involved with YouTube who have been saying, that there's going to be, well, one, something that I've been saying for the last year, that live is going to certainly be a big part of YouTube. That should be coming. I figured it would be coming probably by this fall. I may be wrong about that. That's been my prediction. But, there are, they really want to grow. They want everybody. And I'm quoting some people that I've been listening to on other podcasts, who've really worked within LinkedIn. And they're saying they want everybody who has a job, who's in the business world, to be on LinkedIn, and that pretty much to be the place to go. And so it's important for you to be here if you're going to be in business. And if you're going to grow your business, you do need to network with people here. And I'm finding more and more the ability, obviously, to message people, take advantage of that, and connect with people in a way that you couldn't in the past. I mean, all these new evolutions, obviously, we've been able to do this for a while, but all these new evolutions that continue to improve LinkedIn will continue to benefit all of us. Okay, so that's what I want to talk about. My future, obviously, is video on LinkedIn, creating short clips. But whatever you do, maybe you want to use text, maybe you use photos, but think of how you are going to be known on LinkedIn. Remember the people you are targeting. And when you think about the people you're targeting, and one thing that's becoming very important, I think, in LinkedIn are hashtags. Same thing here on YouTube. You're starting to see hashtags more and more above the headline on YouTube. That's a newer thing that's been launched, and that's going to become more important. Just like it has been on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook even. Not so much on Facebook. The hashtag thing doesn't seem to work as much, but definitely, I mean, it is the mandatory on Instagram, and then Twitter is certainly important. And I think LinkedIn has been good and allows us to really find the topics that we're very interested in. So continue to focus in on your target market and what it is that they would most likely be interested in based on the questions you receive from even the objections that you receive from people that you're prospecting or who are your current customers. Take that time to answer those questions. And I think you'll find that you're going to have a lot of opportunity on LinkedIn if you take the time to do exactly that. So that's where I am with LinkedIn. Thank you so much on that front. I appreciate everybody earlier who were asking some questions and gave me some thought on, thank you very much. I think that moving forward, we're all going to have to be there if we want to grow our businesses. simply that. Okay, I'm here to answer the questions, and I have a few questions ready to go. And but those who are in the on the replay, feel free to put your questions in the answers below. And those who are here in person, you can always ask a question. I'm more than happy on any topic. Although I've started on LinkedIn today, I'm happy to go on to other strategies, marketing strategies that can benefit you into growing your business or channel. Your channel building is a big part of what we do. And when I say channel, I'm talking about especially outcome.digital. We're building that podcast on channel building. You'll see a lot of hashtags on channel building in my work, because you build the channel on Instagram. You can build the channel on YouTube. You can build the channel on LinkedIn. And I guess a lot of what I've been talking about is how you build that channel on LinkedIn. You have to think about who it is that would like to listen, to watch, or read everything that is on that channel. And that's super important. And you need to narrow it down to that focus, because this world is, I mean, gosh, there's so many websites, there's so many social media opportunities, and to cut through the noise. And that was true 10 years ago. It's even more true today. You absolutely must focus in on your niche. And you can, and here's the thing. Once you start with a niche, that does not mean you can't expand it out later. But start with the strongest thing, the thing that people know you the best for, or the thing that you feel confidence in. That confidence is really important when it comes to picking that niche. If there may be a niche that you're kind of trying to pick between the two, go with the one where you have confidence in. Unless, look, you've done your research and nobody's looking. If nobody's looking for what you need, then I guess you may have to take that confidence and push it on to the next one. Okay. My next thought related to the questions. Yeah, there's a question about Twitter, and oh yeah. So what is it that you need to do to get a good following on Twitter and engagement? Well, just like everything in social these days, you have to be consistent. You must continuously, especially on Twitter, you need to regularly post. But if you really want things to work well, not only do you need to post, but you need to get active in responding to other people's stuff. You need to retweet. You need to comment. In other words, you need to do what everything we suggest you do in social media, but it's a little more intense. It's like a fire hose of information. But if you don't like what you see in your feed, you have to remember you are the editor of your, yes, you're the editor of the Twitter feed. And so you follow the people that you want good information from, and people will follow you based on their interests. So Twitter is very keyword sensitive. Hashtags are a big part of it. The algorithm certainly pays attention to the types of stuff that people who would be most interested in your content and interactions. So the more you can get people to interact with you with good questions, maybe use some of the polling opportunities. There are a number of things that you can do to get that engagement going, but you have to be part of that engagement. You have to be thinking ahead. Is this a good question that will get reactions? Put in good imagery. Use videos, use the full suite of opportunities. And I think, again, that's true with most of them. But again, with Twitter, being focused, especially trying to get through that Twitter noise, make sure that you understand who you are on Twitter. And it is an excellent distribution channel. And I know sometimes that we have multiple blogs and we decide that, oh, okay, here's some information here. Maybe we have some work stuff, and we have, a hobby over here, and then we have our personal blog, and we use the same Twitter account as the distribution channel across for all of the different areas. And that's a mistake, I think. I think you really do need to focus in. I mean, it can be 80-20, like I often say, but I think it's a mistake to use the one. At the same time, it really is difficult to grow more than one channel. It's hard enough to grow one Twitter channel, let alone trying to grow multiple Twitter channels. So trying to feed everything into one area, not good. But, if it's similar and you can, please the same audience, you may be okay. You may be okay. But ultimately, I think you want to keep it as clean as possible, and just go from there. So that's my thought there. There is so much happening with all these platforms. It is amazing. One of the things, less than half. Here's a question. I hear that less than half of the teenagers are on Facebook now. Should we even be worried about Facebook? And I read a statistic between 13 and 17-year-olds. Less than half of them are on Facebook these days. And I think it was like 47%, something like that. And so I know that gives us pause. But here's the thing. Right now, and this is what I've said all along. First of all, Facebook in general, it's just a family and friends communication platform. That is the main thing. I'm not talking about pages. That's a whole other issue, and I can talk about that in a moment. But this is where we connect to friends and family. This is kind of the agreed upon place. So teenagers are not on Facebook all the time because their friends are on Instagram and Snapchat, and in some cases Twitter. I know they still do small groups of Twitter friends, and I mean there's a number of different places that younger people go, and they go to YouTube. They're on YouTube hours a day on YouTube. But when they want to connect with grandma or grandpa or their Aunt Betty, they're going to go to Facebook to connect with them. Now, obviously there are some progressive, parents or grandparents out there who are on Instagram, and hey, you can connect with them there. But for the most part, when it comes to family and friends, Facebook is the place. We're talking about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not going to take that over. That's the business side of things. Instagram is very visual, and we share our moments. We share interesting things that we find. That's what I use Instagram for. We share all that on those platforms. But again, when it comes to friends and family, so it's kind of like email. Younger people are not on email. But when they get into the business world, what do they have to do? They have to get an email. And the same thing with Facebook. Facebook, they're going to have to connect with family and friends. That'll be now. They don't want the family and friends to follow them on the other platforms, and any new platforms that come out, they don't want them there. But they will come back to Facebook when need be. Maybe it's only once a month or twice a month. I mean, how often? I mean, depends on the family dynamics. Obviously, some families, they're in contact every single day, and there's some families that get in contact once a year, and that's just the family way of doing things, and that's just fine. So, but everybody will have to have that. And so understanding that you need to connect, and if you want to use Facebook for business, it is fine to do that at a level of, hey, this is something that was interesting going on in the world, keeping you top of mind in terms of what you do. If you're a photographer, letting people know, hey, here's my greatest newest photograph. If you write poems, then share the poem. I mean, you can share stuff that is interesting. And, even if you're in insurance, you can share an interesting thing that happened in the insurance world just to remind people that, hey, but you don't want to be continuously asking them for their business. It really is important. Okay. Here's the last question I have set up, related to actually marketing sales funnels, and how should we go about a marketing sales funnel. And I'll give you the basics of it. First of all, you probably need to start with the landing page. In other words, the landing page is where you're going to send people, and it's not the front page of your website. The landing page is ultimately what you want people to do, where they're going to convert. And the traffic that you send will certainly depend on the type of offer. If you want people to download an ebook for free so you can capture their email, there are different platforms, and I'll share what that is in a few moments to do that. If you want to do a direct sale, there are other advertising platforms that I might consider. But ultimately, you want to create that landing page. and then backward engineer the ads and the keywords and all the things that you think would be related to that landing page all the way through to your ad. So your ad is related directly to that landing page. And so we've been talking about a number of topics today. We want to be very focused. So with each type of ad, you'll probably have to create a different type of a landing page. Make your landing pages totally related to the ad and find the keywords or the placements. I mean, these days when it comes to Google Ads and Facebook related to audiences and so forth, you want to you're in demographics, you want to just experiment with those different audiences, those different target markets of related to different people in different demographics, and you'll continue to experiment with those in between the ad and that landing page to help the algorithms find the right audience for you, and that is really important. So that the sales funnel truly is, your ad, all the points in between to help guide the AIs, the Facebook and Google AIs find the right audience for you, and then send them to a landing page, and then A/B test those landing pages. In other words, half people get one landing page, half get the other, and see which one converts better. So if you're trying to get downloads for, say, ebook, or just you're trying to capture emails of people who have specific interests, and only somebody with this specific interest would download this ebook, which would be a good prospect for you, well, then Facebook is excellent for that. Facebook is a good platform for that kind of thing. If you're trying to do direct sales, I would do more of the Google ads, because go on the look for people who are searching for specific solutions to their problem, and then put your ad in front of them, and then send them to the landing page with the solution to their problem. And that can be really good. Now, obviously, with Google really expanding in the last year or so with their display ads, making them much better, you can certainly do a similar kind of an approach as you do with Facebook. Although I can go, for some reason, I find myself doing more direct e-commerce kind of stuff on Google ads versus again, Facebook is more the get the free download kind of stuff, but not always the case. I mean, you can create good sales funnels on Facebook. Just got to have to let that algorithm do its job and just support it along the way. Okay, there we go. Hey, it's been a great opportunity to share with you today. Noon on Mondays, Eastern Standard Time is when I come here on YouTube Live to record and to share some more information with my podcast audience. It's been good. Some good questions. I'm always looking for more questions. You can hit me up at Rosh Sillars on Twitter. And of course, you can ask questions in the comments here on YouTube or over at roshsillars.com. You will find the opportunity to leave comments under the podcast section. And you can subscribe on, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, and iTunes, and even Google Play. You can find us everywhere, and I hope you do. And I honestly, I encourage you to leave a review and let people know that this is a helpful podcast, helpful show that is giving you information, things to think about each week to help you grow your business. We'll talk to you next time.